Well, I hope you're all progressing well. I know it's challenging from time to time to sort of work your way through. There's a lot of ambiguity in this unit, and deliberately so, right? So use that ambiguity as a source of comfort, discomfort, right? You can use it whichever way it is. I've got plenty of emails coming in from people who are saying, hey, I'm really enjoying the structure of this unit. I really like to be able to sort of just make my own way. So why is it that you like that freedom? Why is it that you like to be able to make your own pacing through the unit? Alternatively, you're not enjoying the unit or aspects of the unit. Why is that the case? All right. You don't have to worry about being overly defensive on this. It's an exploration of yourself, right? So, a couple of things. By now, you should be turning your attention to the interim learning report. You should be making sure that you've got that moving in the right direction. I'm going to come back and talk about that in just a second. I have had quite a few emails, most probably 6 to 8, where people are thinking, this group's, we've already noticed a bit of a shift from where we were on the Saturday, and we're thinking maybe 2 of us will go this way and 2 will go that way. So when people contact me with that, I'm very supportive of that, but I do ask that you explain the nature of that separation to the other folks who you're leaving behind. So don't just leave them high and dry. Don't leave them sort of wondering. Now, that may have happened because the other people haven't turned up. It may have happened because there's a difference in terms of actual interest. And I'd much prefer that you're actually challenging yourself and doing something that you've got a genuine interest in. So don't panic. Don't sweat that. If that's happened to you, come and see me, right? If you find yourself in a situation, worst situation to be in, you're in a group of 3 and 2 people have disappeared and now you're a group of 1. Okay, come and see me if that's the case, all right? And we can work our way through that and see if we can resolve it. If you do find yourself in that situation, though, and you've got other friends in the unit and you think they might be happy for you to join their group, that's another way for you where you can resolve that situation. Remember, you don't have to work hard to make the group work in the sense of, but we're going to be assessed and blah, blah. You're not going to be assessed, all right? The only thing that the group enables you to do, or 2 things it enables you to do. 1, it enables you to develop a little bit of a consensus around what you'll present, the 3 key questions that we presented and that are in the interim learning report video that's online for you for week 5. It allows you to have that little short presentation, 1-minute presentation, just to drop that, okay? So it enables you to do that, and that'll enable us to give you some feedback which will feed back into your final learning report. All right, so that's one part of the group work. The other part, which is the most important part from you as an individual, because it is assessed, is it enables your thinking to be validated. All right, whether it's spoken or just what sits inside your head, go along to the meetings, not to defend yourself, not to try and be right or wrong, just to allow your thinking to be validated in terms of what the other people are thinking. Okay, that's really, really important, that you allow that process to happen. Remember, in the interim learning report, the advice that I'm giving to you is you don't have to get caught up in the referencing. You've got 1,000 words and I want you to tell me what you think. I'm not that interested in you telling me what Howard Aldrich thinks. I know what Howard Aldrich thinks, and I'm not testing you to see if you know what he thinks. I've given you half a dozen of the components of the environmental interaction framework, and I want you to show me that you can demonstrate how they integrate. So not how they relate as separate components, but how they interact. So as you're working your way through from your resource profile and working through legitimacy and working down to the nature of how value is being created and the nature of your environment, as you're working through those things, think about how those things all hang together, right? I'm going to be rewarding people as per the CRA who are able to show me how these things relate. Because when you do that, that's when you really demonstrate the real degree of understanding that you have about these concepts. You move away from just saying, well, I can define what that concept is, to I can use that concept here and I know how it relates and is impacted, influenced, connected to these other concepts. All right? So if you're looking for the high-end marks in this assignment, make sure you've got the integration of these things in the way you pull them together. Use your voice. Use your voice. Write it as I. This is what I think. This is what we experienced as a group, right? It's much easier for you just to work with your idea and work through the integration of those concepts. And then at the end, a CPS statement allows you the opportunity to provide a really tight summary where you can say, so for these end users that we identify in relation to this problem or opportunity, we see an opportunity to put this type of solution into place, right? And wrapping up and using your theoretical concepts to make that argument. That's what the CPS statement's for. I'm looking for you to make it compelling, where I go, wow, I can't really argue with that, can I? That really makes perfect sense. The feedback you get from your presentation will be designed at helping you to make that even more compelling in your final learning report, all right? So that's section 1, all right? Follow the process as outlined in the video. We'll be talking about it again, of course, in the workshop, because you've got another few days after that before you have to actually assess. So if you're unsure, hopefully you've got a really good draft done of your work, and you'll come along to the workshop and we'll work back through that process again. Maybe you'll think, oh yeah, I've missed something there, or there's something else I could add in. Obviously I can't read through your drafts. There's 300 students in the class, so I'm not able to do that. However, you're more than welcome to come along to the workshop, workshop 2, and ask as many questions as you want, and I'll run through what I'm looking for. I'll be reiterating what I've already said, but hopefully it'll provide even more clarity for you. The second part is the section 2 is the learning reflection. This is where it's purely your voice. You do not need to reference anything here. What you need to do is take the time to think about, what do you think is this idea of an entrepreneurial self? How does it relate to you? You. So I don't need you to define entrepreneurial self. I don't want anyone telling me that somebody defines entrepreneurial self as XYZ. I just want to know what you think. How does it relate to you? Based on experiencing the workshop, based on working with your group members, based on conversations you may have now had and other reflections you've had. What is that? Now, when you think that through, how does it now relate to your everyday life? Right? In the context of your everyday life, how does that relate? And therefore, once you've done that initial mulling over of this issue, you're now ready to start the process. So, what have you learned that's new about you? You, not the theory. What have you learned that's new about you relative to your entrepreneurial self in your everyday life? Okay, you've got a starting point. Once you start the process, we want you to tell me what's new. Stop, add your why, and then ask yourself, why have I just said that? Why do I believe that? Why do I feel that? The next sentence, sentence 2, is telling me why you wrote sentence 1. Then there's another why. Then you're going to look at the second sentence and you're going to ask yourself, why? Why have I said that? Why do I believe that? Why do I feel that? So sentence 3 is going to explain sentence 2. And you're going to repeat that process until you've got at least 5 of these whys in there, and you're going down. You keep going down. You're not looking to justify and explain this way. We're looking to explore the positions that you hold. If you go deep enough in that first question, supporting question, when you get to the second question in relation to your values, you've already found your starting point. You've already got down to a point that's deep enough that we already know something about your values. So you can start. How does it relate to your values? Why? How does this confirm, disconfirm aspects of your relationship? How does it relate to your life experience? And I think this is the one question people find most difficult in the actual process. If I've got 300 students, sadly 30 of you are going to say something along the lines of, I haven't really had any life experience. So what do you think I think? I've got a daughter who's 22, I've got a son who's 16, and I've got a daughter who's 12. Even my daughter has had a lot of life experience if she took the time to reflect on it. So at age 22, you've had a million life experiences. So it's just not possible for you to simply, it's a cop-out to simply say, I haven't really had any life experiences. All right? You can reflect back on times when you could have been more entrepreneurial. Once you've identified what you think it is, You could say, well, actually, there was a time 5 years ago when I had a chance to do this or do that, and I did or I didn't. Now I think about it, blah, blah, right? Using the process. Again, why didn't you do it? Or why did you do it, right? How does that bring you to an appreciation of other people? Maybe you introduce that theme, that concept, that process in that question 4 about your experiences, right? What other new sources of information have you been looking at? Food for thought, anything. Conversations with other people, books you may have read, the readings on QT. And then finally step back from the whole thing and ask yourself those 2 questions, because question 7 contains 2 components, right? What does this tell you? When you read back through your reflection, what does this tell you about you as a learner? What do you recognize about yourself as a learner? And therefore, what little strategies might you be able to develop to improve yourself as a learner going forward? That's the challenge, okay? So we'll talk a little bit more about it in the next workshop. The main thing is that you trust the process. That means you're going to take the time to look at the resources on Blackboard and work your way through the process, okay? Very important that you do that. I've reflected on the previous question, and that's what I'm looking for you to do, all right? I'm looking for you to just follow that process, okay? And then you'll get feedback from me, which we'll talk to about the extent to which you're a bit horizontal, a bit diagonal, and hopefully you've got that vertical stuff happening as well. Good luck. As always, if you're really thrown by this, if you're unsure, just make a time, come in, have a chat. More often than not, that can solve a lot of problems. Cheerio.